He thought casting her away would bury the shame forever. But shame has a way of returning. And when it did, it carried vengeance in its hands. What could a helpless, abandoned daughter become in just 3 years that would bring a proud father to his knees? The year was 1962, in the quiet but watchful village of Olowo, a land where honor was heavier than stone, and reputation was guarded more fiercely than gold. Here lived Chief Adewale, a man whose wealth stretched far beyond his compound walls. His barns overflowed with yams, his palm wine kegs never ran dry, and his name echoed in the village square. He was a man of stature, feared as much as he was respected. But with pride came cruelty, and with his wealth came a hunger to protect his image at any cost. Chief Adewale's only daughter, Ifedayo, was unlike her father. Where he was cold and calculating, she was soft and gentle. Where he sought power, she sought peace. Ifedayo was the kind of girl who noticed the small things, the way the evening sun painted the river gold, the way children laughed barefoot in the dust, the way old women hummed lullabies while weaving baskets. She was kind, perhaps too kind, and kindness in a harsh world often becomes a weakness. It began with love, or what she thought was love. A stranger came through Olowo one dry season, a young trader named Tanemu, who claimed to be from a distant town. His smile was charming, his words like honey dripping from kola nuts. Ifedayo, sheltered all her life, was drawn to him like a moth to flame. They met in secret places, by the old spirit tree near the riverbank, in the shadow of moonlit nights. He promised her forever. He whispered of a life away from her father's stern gaze, and in her innocence she believed. Until the day she discovered she carried his child, and like the morning mist, Tanemu was gone. When Chief Adewale learned of his daughter's pregnancy, his rage shook the compound. "Shame!" he roared, his voice like thunder rolling through the night. "You have dragged filth into my house. My enemies will laugh. My name will be stained forever." Ifedayo, trembling, fell to her knees. "Father, please, I did not know. I was foolish, yes, but I am still your daughter. Please forgive me." But Adewale's heart was stone. He saw not his child, but a stain upon his legacy. On a stormy night, when the heavens themselves seemed to weep, he dragged her outside. The villagers whispered from their windows, too afraid to intervene. With rain pelting down, lightning splitting the skies, Chief Adewale pushed her to the ground. His voice cut deeper than the cold wind. "You are no longer my daughter. From this night, you are dead to me. Do not return." Ifedayo's cries were swallowed by the storm. She begged, clutching her swollen belly, but his eyes held no mercy. And so, barefoot, broken, and carrying life within her, she was cast into the darkness. The road was cruel, nights were long, and hunger gnawed at her bones. She walked until her legs blistered, slept under trees, begged for scraps in towns where no one knew her name. When the time came to give birth, there was no midwife, no caring hands, only pain, blood, and the relentless cries of labor under the cover of night. Yet from that pain came life. A fragile baby boy, his cry piercing the silence like a blade. She named him Iomide. My joy has come. Though her heart ached, though her body shook with weakness, she vowed in that moment, "I will not let him suffer. I will rise, and one day, I will return." Ifedayo became a wanderer who turned struggle into strength. She learned to trade palm oil, to farm small plots, to weave mats for sale in markets. She learned to haggle with men who mocked her, to carry loads others said were too heavy for a woman. Her hands grew hard, her voice grew firm, her heart became iron. Each day she looked at Iomide, and each day she whispered, "You are my reason, you are my revenge." Time passed, and Ifedayo transformed. She was no longer the timid girl who left Olowo. She was a woman forged by fire, carrying the strength of her suffering like armor. By the 3rd year, she had amassed wealth of her own. Through grit and cunning, she traded across towns, bought land, and became known as a fearless young woman who built an empire from ashes. And then, the call came. Her father was holding a grand feast in Olowo, an annual gathering where chiefs boasted of their power and paraded their families. Ifedayo knew it was time. On the day of the feast, the village was alive with drums and laughter. Goats were slaughtered. Palm wine spilled into waiting calabashes, and songs of praise for Chief Adewale filled the air. He sat on his throne-like chair, beaming with pride, convinced that his name was untouchable once again. But then, silence fell. At the gate stood a woman in flowing white, her steps steady, her presence undeniable. By her side was a boy, 3 years old, whose resemblance to Adewale was too sharp to deny. Whispers spread like wildfire. Is that not Ifedayo? But how? We thought she died. Look at the child. He is the chief's blood. Adewale's smile froze. His heart pounded. Ifedayo walked forward, her voice carrying across the stunned crowd. Father, did you think I would vanish? Did you think your shame would remain buried? You cast me into the storm, but the storm gave me strength. And now I return, not to beg, but to claim my place. Gasps rippled through the feast. She lifted a leather-bound folder thick with papers, deeds to land she owned, proof of her newfound wealth. Wealth greater than many of the chiefs present. I come not as your daughter, but as Ifedayo, the woman who built her life without you. And this child, she placed her hand on Iomide's shoulder, is your grandson, whether you choose to acknowledge him or not. Chief Adewale rose to his feet, fury trembling in his bones. You dare shame me before my people? You dare challenge me? But his voice, once feared, no longer carried the same weight, because the people, the same villagers who once pitied Ifedayo, now looked upon her with awe. They saw her strength, her dignity, her power. One elder spoke softly, shaking his head. Chief, you cast her away, but she has returned greater than you. Is this not the hand of the gods? Murmurs of agreement spread. Every whisper stripped Adewale of the respect he once commanded. Ifedayo stood tall, her eyes locked on his. I came to show you that the one you rejected has risen. I will not curse you, for life itself has cursed you with my success. The shame you feared is now your crown. From that day forward, Ifedayo built a new compound in Olowo. Her house stood taller than her father's. Her farm stretched wider. Her name carried farther. The same villagers who once watched her walk into the rain barefoot now sought her counsel. Women came to her for guidance. Men approached her with respect. Children ran after her in admiration. Her son, Ayomide, grew under her wing, a boy born in sorrow but raised in triumph. And Ifedayo? She no longer needed her father's approval. She had forged her own name. Her revenge was not through curses or blades. It was through success. As for Chief Adewale, he lived long enough to witness his downfall. He was still wealthy, yes, still a chief. But respect is not bought with riches. When he walked through the village square, people no longer bowed with the same reverence. Their whispers were arrows piercing his pride. There goes the man who disowned his own daughter. The man whose bloodline thrives not because of him, but in spite of him. His true punishment was not death. It was watching Ifedayo rise higher, stronger, and brighter than he ever could, and knowing he played no part in her greatness. Never cast away those you love because of shame, for the one you reject today may return tomorrow. Not with weakness, but with power you can neither silence nor deny.